So you talk about the purpose of diagnosis and how it can benefit an individual, but you also talk about how it can set us in stone and become something that we are identified with. Taking the term eating disorder, you don't call it that.
No, I tend not to call it an eating disorder, and the reason why is because we look at eating disorder and we get a picture in our head of what eating disorder actually looks like, and we may associate it to somebody who's got anorexia or somebody who's got bulimia, and so it's the higher intensity form of what we now subscribe to in society is called an eating disorder. And without a doubt that needs to be addressed, and support is required, and healing is definitely needed. But I actually like to switch the words around, and rather than calling it eating disorder, I look at it as disordered eating. And if we refer to it as disordered eating, you can start to understand that disordered eating actually applies to us all. Yeah, so it doesn't separate people from somebody that has a formal diagnosis. But if we separate it to people with a formal diagnosis, 99% of humanity don't need to address their own disordered eating.
We can just point to the ones who are diagnosed.
Exactly, yeah, and say it's something that doesn't belong to me. It's something that belongs to somebody else that I've read about or I've heard about or that I may know, but it doesn't actually belong to me. But if we look at disordered eating and go, well, what is eating? And what's the benefits of eating? And what's the purpose of eating? And to me, there's a big difference between the mouth and the body, or the head and the body. And so there's a lot of the times our head goes, that would be great. Yeah, I'd love to eat that particular food, whatever it might be. But if we actually take it below the neck and look at the rest of the body, everything that we put into our mouth is going to have an impact on our body in some way or another. So everything we eat is either healing or it's harming for our body. But how many times do we eat food that would actually taste good in our mouth but doesn't actually support our body in a way of supporting our body to live its true and full potential? So when I separate the two, I go 99% of humanity don't have an eating disorder, yet do most of us have disordered eating? And the answer to that would probably be yes. Yeah, I would say if we interview just about everybody in humanity and ask them, have you ever eaten a food that tastes good in the mouth but does not actually truly support the body, I would say the answer is yes, even from me. Yeah, like I'm a classic example where I will still have disordered eating. Even though my eating is quite refined, there's still a lot of foods that I'll eat at times, which to me is one of my escalated behaviours. Yeah, because when I'm at a point where I'm free of anxiety or feeling equipped to deal with life and everything's being presented, very, very aware of what I eat and will only eat foods that I know are going to support me. But if I'm feeling stressed or I've had some smash pictures or I don't feel equipped to deal with whatever I'm feeling and whatever's going on in my life, before I know it, I fall into the pattern of disordered eating. Yeah, so that's one of my go-tos that I haven't yet completely addressed. But I would say that's the case for a large percentage of humanity. So to me it's important to reverse the words, only so that we can start asking ourselves the question of I wonder why. So if I start thinking about a food that I know is not going to support me, just the thought is an opportunity for me to say I wonder why. I wonder what's going on in my life that I don't feel completely equipped to deal with. If I don't ask that question, then the thought becomes a reality. And before I know it, I've got those foods in my mouth. And again, that's just simply an opportunity to say, well, I wonder why. Yeah, and if I don't say I wonder why then whatever I eat next is going to be of a higher potency for my body, which whatever we put into our mouth that's not supportive, one day has to come out in some form. It's just going, what form is that one day going to come out in?
So in your switching of the terms from eating disorder to disordered eating, it seems it has a twofold effect. It frees the person who has that diagnosis to look at a behaviour rather than defining themselves as having an eating disorder.
Yeah.
But it also invites, as you say, the 99% of people to look at their lives, refine their lives, get an understanding of behaviour. So you're raising the standard of healthcare, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's the opportunity to stop looking outside of ourselves. It's to bring it back. Yeah, because the eating disorder easily says that's somebody else's. Disordered eating goes, hey, this could be me as well. And it puts us in the category as I'm often heard of saying we're all the same in that we're all different. We're all the same in that every single person in this world will at some time in their life had disordered eating, and will continue to have disordered eating until they start addressing the reason why.
So that could be something as simple as I'm feeling anxious about a test I have tomorrow, so I stuffed myself full of food. Right.
Exactly. Or my boyfriend just broke up with me. What's a common food that we're often told? Get a bucket of ice cream, get some chocolate, sit on the couch. Yeah, but if we're feeling okay within our body, if we're truly wanting to live in a way where we feel vibrant every day, that wouldn't even come into our mind. There just wouldn't even be a question that we'd go there with that.